I'd like to welcome everyone to HBCU Coaches Corner. I'm your co-host, Rocky Miller, and I'm accompanied by my other co-host, the Rattler himself, Mr. Stephen Campbell. And since we are HBCU Coaches Corner, our featured host is the coach himself, the man who many times, with 40,000 people in the stands, has called plays, who has made decisions, who've done it at a very high level, and is most definitely a championship coach, none other than my man, Johnnie Cole. Hey, what's up, Coach?
Man, look, man, ready to rock and roll, Coach, man. And, you know, I got a little disturbing news, I would say, but it's not that disturbing. It's you know, and we'll talk a little bit about it tonight. And y'all tell me what y'all think about it, and we'll kind of go from there. But, yeah, man, we had a big weekend. We're down to the 2. I think we were right on those 2 of the SWAC championship game, and now it's who's going to win that and who's going to represent the SWAC. And
Yeah,
as you guys know, you got them Jacksonians out there, and you got them Prairie View Panthers out there. And so it's going to be an interesting game. And, of course, we get to talk about a little bit of tonight, and we'll really dive into next week on who we really think. You know, and tonight, you know, we also, if not, we don't get to it, you know, we'll grade those coaches on how they did during the season. So, you know, a lot to talk about. You know, a lot of things. It's Thanksgiving. We don't want to hold everybody here like we usually do. You know, we're just going to get on for about an hour and hit it, man, and get it going. And welcome, Bishop.
Coach, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. I had a great talk with Bishop in the Florida A&M Rattlers, Rocky. I mean, man, they had to be 20 of them on the podcast. You know, I felt like I was in a snake pit.
You was?
Yeah. So hopefully, man, you know, we made some relationships, and you know, I felt good about the talk, and hopefully I were able to answer some of their questions.
Well, I'm going to talk about that. First of all, Coach, we really appreciate you. And I always say what's so special about who and what you are. And I'm going to keep saying it sounds simple, but it's true. You're an actual coach. You've done it on the field. You know what a SWAC championship looks like. You know what an SIA championship looks like. 2 of the guys that we're going to talk about next week that we've all both interviewed, we all have interviewed, you've been what they have been.
Right.
You're talking about, we had Coach Quinn on last week. You've been where he's been. So a lot of that for me in a big game, you know, because it has a lot of factors going on with that game, you know, with Florida Classic, and that play being so monumental. What happens with a lot of people, and this is no disrespect to people like me and Rocky, and we know football. Rocky knows football. There's nobody going to tell me Rocky doesn't know football, but nobody can tell us about what it feels like to coach in that scenario and what is being said. And what you and Bishop Bonnet did, Bishop being a high-level player, looking at it from the offense, and I know you're an offensive guy, but you're a head coach, so you got to know everything. And to break down what happened, and because I never want people to criticize us because it's low-hanging fruit. Oh, they're nothing but podcasts. They don't know anything. But see, they can't talk about that on HBCU Coaches Corner. They can't dismiss us like that.
Right.
So I really appreciate you coming on, breaking that play down, and really, again, moves forward for a lot of the coaches is that, hey, man, you're always going to be critiqued. You're always going, and your fans care. Your fans really care. So, you know, shout out to the people from ONG Strike Zone and all those people on the panel. We had a really good time last night.
Hey, man, it was great, Coach. And, you know, I appreciate you guys for allowing me and trusting in me that, you know, I'm giving us good direction with this show because, you know, a lot of guys on these podcasts that I hear and pull up, I don't think they really want somebody on there to kind of, you know, give them the right way or the you know, what the coach is thinking. Because sometimes it's just a player being a bonehead, you know, and I can kind of tell that too. But at the end of the day, you know, that's what we get paid for, coaches, because the thing they're going to say is, well, you brought him here. You know what I mean? Or you've been disciplining the kid all year, so you should know what he's capable of doing, and that happens also. So I'm not here to bash no coach at all, but I am here, and I know what I see when it comes to coaching this game. I've been around this game a long time. I've had a football in my hand before I knew my name, so I'm familiar with what's going on in this football world.
Yeah, Coach, one of the things that and we're speaking about FAMU and what happened yesterday. The unique thing about it is FAMU had that very unfortunate play happen to them, right? But they actually get a chance to wash that taste out their mouth before the end of the season and go play a game in Inner Mississippi. How important is that opportunity for a program to not end on what happened at the Florida Classic, and then they could go to Inner and potentially play better and get a win under their belt before they go into the outseason program?
Yeah. Fans are funny. When you're winning, everybody on your side, and when you're losing, they ain't on your side. So, for the FAMU fans, he go down there and do what he should do. They should run away with the game with Mississippi Valley. It shouldn't be real, and then, make a good look. And the thing, if I had a chance to talk to Cozy, you talk like it's the end. Hey, it's a program. You know what I mean? It's a program. This is what we do in our program. This is where we're weak at. This is where we're not weak at. We need to get better here, here, here. People don't, and that's the thing about him. I mean, guys, at Lane College, I took over Lane College. I started 0-10. And I even had the president making jokes of me, saying, man, we can't even beat the School of the Blind. And this man in my office talking about some scholarships. You know what I mean? But I knew that we were going in the right direction. You know what I mean? I knew that when I put my team out on the field, everybody is lined up where they're supposed to be. I knew where our weak players were and where they wasn't and where we needed to recruit at and where we needed to go at. The thing that I could control, daily is the discipline of my kids. And so I knew and I could trust them that they were going to lay it out on the football field.
Yeah. Yeah. And Coach, to get another opportunity to close this season out with a victory, how important is that?
It's big. It's big, Coach. It's big. And to go down there and do it the right way, and let the kids know that, it is a tomorrow. Man, we in this thing together, and we're going to go down here and show how we can play. And that's the way you should be talking. You're always positive. You're not, you're making sure everybody is still following the rules. We had bus rules. We had, showing up on time. We had, make sure you got breakfast this morning. Where you actually got your program going, you don't fall off, oh, well, we ain't going to the championship, or we could do what we want to do. No, that ain't how you go down there, and that ain't how you finish out strong when you're talking about a strong program.
Coach, let me ask you this here, Coach. Cozy came into a winning program, and he's broke a couple of streaks while at the helm. He's broke the streak of not losing at Bragg for 19 games. He lost at Bragg. They had a 4-game winning streak at the Florida Classic. He lost the Florida Classic. How many of these, now I'm talking about as a coach, how many of these things kind of stack up against you when it's time for you to renew your contract or negotiate an extension? Do these things kind of stack up against you, or these things that are going to, even though he's probably going to end with 2 winning seasons, will these kind of situations stack up against him when he goes in to renegotiate an extension or renew his contract?
Ain't no question. I mean, ain't no question. A big game like when they play Bethune-Cookman, the Florida Classic, you could be winning and lose your job on that. It ain't no question that all of it makes sense. All of it is important on how they gonna go about making sure that you are the right guy for us. Hopefully, he had a 3-year contract where he could at least finish his 3. I just think all coaches should at least get 3 years, unless it just looked terrible, it's bad, kids are getting in trouble on campus. academically they're not strong, that's when you know that we're not moving in the right direction. At Florida A&M, I mean, he's kind of still at the level of, and that's why this game is important, that to finish up with a winning season. But we all know that there's some what we call them on our show, blue bread programs, that sometimes 6 and 5 won't do it. You know what I mean? You got to come in there with at least 7 games, to keep your job. So now these big games are very important, and that's why you got to finish strong, and you can't go down there and piss straight up against Mississippi Valley, a team who upset you last year. You can't do it. You got to make sure that your team is doing everything on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and getting on that bus or plane or whatever however you're traveling. And you got to be strict. Again, it's about the program. And if your program ain't in place, those things can happen. And they do happen, and they happen consistently in bad programs.
Hey, Cameron, this is before we move on. I just wanted to ask you this.
Hey, wait, Rocky, wait a minute. I want you to ask, but I just want to say, just talk to Coach Fred from Alcorn. You know what I'm saying? So Coach Fred is going to join us real quick. So this HBCU Coaches Corner, see, we still have the coaches coming on. So I've already sent him the link. So he's going to come on. So I just wanted to, let people know. So hang on. You know what I'm saying? Going to be a great thing for Coach Fred to talk about, what's going on in the SWAC, what he sees, coaching, because he's coached against.
And find out what he's
Alcorn played Prairie View and they played Jackson State. So he's seen it directing up front. So I know we're only going to do an hour, but, we're going to rock with it.
Okay.
And there he is right there too.
Hey, at the end of the day, Cameron, you got the controls. You can take it as long as you want to.
Okay, well, there you go. Hey, hey, my people know we'll keep church open all night now. So we'll have a good time. We'll rock with him. Coach got to leave and we still talking. We're still going to talk. But there he is right there.
Hey, what's up, Coach Fred? I want to thank you for coming on, man. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you. My name is Rocky, but I do watch your show each and every week that you do with Blue. You guys do a great job of putting together content and giving really insight into what really matters to coaches about the upcoming games and upcoming competition. Now, unfortunately, Coach, I was notified today that you are no longer at Alcorn, but I'm pretty sure a person with your acumen and you put it on display on social media and YouTube many times, I'm sure there's a program to see some value in what you have to offer, and you'll be back on the sidelines in no time if that's what you're interested in.
Hey, Coach, before you get started, wait a minute, because this is what we do. See, we got to give proper intro. This is Coach Leroy Frederick, my guy. Finance coach, recruit extraordinaire, Florida boy. You know what I'm saying? Know about that Florida stuff, know about that A&M in that class. Coach know about that class. We're going to ask him about that. So, Coach, I just want to give you the proper intro because people know you as Coach Fred, but you also have a last name. So we want to give your parents that proper respect. So, Coach, just wanted to lay that out there. Appreciate you coming on. I'm going to give it back to Rocky. And then, Coach, because a couple of things that we want to talk about because we got you here for a short time.
Can I say hello to Coach? How you doing, Coach?
What's up, Coach Cole? How are you?
Hey, man, I appreciate you taking time out to come on the show, man. And this is our platform, and a lot of people that hadn't wore our hats and hadn't been through the things that we've been through, because I know you've been going through the same thing. It don't change much, just the color and the mascot. But thank you for coming on.
I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, just a quick. You made an announcement, but if there's anything else you'd like to say regarding your status at Alcorn, anything you'd like to add or clarify about it, we've seen several kids now. I don't know if this is directly related to you. We've had several kids mention that they are going to enter the portal, and we had a huge commit, Mr. Martin, say that he's not going to honor his commitment to Alcorn. So, again, I don't know if that has anything to do with you, but can you tell us about, what's going on with Coach Fred and your status?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought it up because it was just brought to my attention. When I made that post, I guess some people have been taking it that I was blasting Alcorn State and basically telling kids not to go there, which is not the case. What I did, and I just went re-amended the post, even though someone was like, man, that ain't your place to do that. You know, you ain't got to do it. But I felt like I needed to, because Alcorn's been good to me for, you know, over 10 years, 2014 to be exact. When I made that post, that wasn't for me telling kids not to go there or leave there. It was basically, I can tell, you know, I can show you right now where kids are still DMing me, texting me their information, trying to get in this early recruiting cycle. I was on a lot of kids because, again, I didn't see this coming. So I was on a lot of kids. I know we had to get better. I knew we had to replace some things. So I was recruiting kids. And those kids now are still sending me things. They're wanting to know about visits. They're wanting to know about, you know, where are they in the process? Will they be getting an offer? So I went out and I made the post basically saying I'm no longer there. Not to tell nobody not to go there, but hey, get your information to somebody else because I'm no longer with the university. It wasn't blasting the university or the program. It wasn't doing any of that. It was to let them know, you know, not me, but find somebody else within the program to send your stuff and kind of go from there. You know, I'm not that kind of guy. Although, you know, Coach Cole could tell you now we could dig up some dead bodies if we wanted to do that. And really get it down, you know what I mean? But that's not that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. But I just want to make sure those kids didn't waste time constantly calling me, texting me, sending me things when I'm not there. Hey, get your stuff to somebody that can, you know, go through, reevaluate. You know, I had offered some kids. So, hey, get in touch with this coach over there if Alcorn is where you want to be, and get the process moving with them now that I'm no longer there. I'll tell you about the move. From what I understand and what I was told, it wasn't football related. You know, I could say it, you know, back when we first started doing this YouTube thing, however you want to put it, social media, we did a show where we had Coach T.C. Taylor and Coach O on, and we had a sponsor, which was a cigar lounge in Vicksburg, that wanted us to do the show there. So I went and we did the show there. And the athletic director didn't think that was a good look. He said the alumni didn't like the fact that we were doing a coach's show in a cigar lounge, you know, yada, yada, yada. So I don't know if you realize, I'm sure you realize, you know, we cut the show off, you know. As I was told before, you know, as a coach, you got a life after you leave the office. You can do what you want to do. But I didn't want to rock the boat, so we just kind of went away, squared up with the cigar lounge, made everything right. But apparently they were still holding on to that. And, you know, the first chance they got to exit me from the program, that's kind of how that went. But, you know, I have nothing but great things to say about the program, man. I had a great time there, won a lot of games, coached on both sides of the ball, got some guys in the league right now from there, from my tutelage, so to speak. So, you know, coaching is a different world now, man. It's a different world.
Well, you know, the first thing that I asked Mr. Campbell when I saw the tweet was, I said, and this was instinctively, Coach. I said, I hope that it had nothing to do with how well he was doing in the media space, communicating with the fans and the HBCU community. And because that's not something that coaches on the HBCU level do as openly and as candidly as you do. And I hope that didn't have anything to do with the fact that you were released. Now, I don't know if it does, you know, and it's funny that it's not directly related to your content that you guys were putting out, but it's kind of related to the content you guys were putting out in a way. So I'm really sorry to hear that, Coach, because I thought you were doing the HBCU space, your university, a great service by being candid and open about what was going on regarding HBCU football.
Coach, we lost your camera if you're still there.
Dang, Alcorn don't send somebody over there to get him?
Boy, listen, man, you know them folks all got them long shot rifles now, coach. They'll snipe you away. Them boys, hey man, it's deer season, man. They got them 30-06s, boy, down there. They might come and get you now. So,
wow.
You know, coach, when you because you have had a recruit. Yeah,
coach.
We can hear you. Were you able to hear us, coach?
Okay. You kind of cut off on me there. I was trying to get off that. Somebody kept calling. I was trying to get the call off.
You may have to disconnect and reconnect, coach, because your camera's not on. Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, this is what happens. So I'm gonna tell you what it is. All the people call, Coach Fred, we see you over there on HBCU Coaches Corner, bro. We didn't even know what was.
Yeah, man. You know, that's an unfortunate situation, man, when a guy is ultimately let go because of something that he was doing outside of his duties as a coach. Coach, can you talk to anything, those kind of things, coach, or how? And I don't think smoking a cigar or being at a cigar lounge would warrant a firing, but can you kind of talk to us and tell us about how those kind of things
first
your employment?
Yeah, firstly, coaching football, you're gonna be on both sides of that table. You're gonna be hired or you're gonna be fired. And if you've been in this game long enough, you've been on both sides of the table. Number one. Number two, it's an egotistical game. You know, coaches, man, are in a vulnerable position. When you're winning one day, you Superman, and if you're losing another day, you Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, and that's just how it is. You know, people make, and what gets me is the street committees. You know, and these so-called alumni at these universities that think they know football. Or when you get let go out of school, you got to be a bad guy, or you got to be a bad person, or you done a bad thing. You know, that only really, guys, at the end of the day, it goes on too much at HBCU schools. Does it go on in PWI schools? Somewhat, but it goes on too much because here's the reason. It comes down to economic. We ain't making a lot of money as it is. You got guys on the PWI making $4, $5, $6, $7 million, where we're making $3, $4, $5, or $50,000, and people don't understand it. And then you put a tag on a coach of guys. I've been out the SWAC for now 15 years. And that's what I was going to say a little bit about, and we got Coach on. I'm going to take about 2 minutes, Coach, to get you back going. Now Texas Southern is going around saying, oh, this is our first winning season in football since 2000. When I got there in 2008, we went 4-7. In 2009, we went 6-5 and 5-2 in the conference. And of course, in 10, I went on to win a championship. But you want to go and do all these things, take games away and all that kind of stuff. And that's never happened in HBCU football. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is they tag you and put these things on you like you're a bad guy. But being fired from a staff, it's a part of the business. It don't mean you're a bad guy. You know what I mean? Or you don't done something wrong. But when somebody making statements like, oh, well, you did something at a cigar bar. Are you really? Are you really? Tell the man the truth. Be honest. Now I guess everybody think you're a cigar smoker, Coach. I don't even know if you smoke cigar.
Well, he is a cigar smoker.
Yeah. And he smoked some good ones because I've seen him on there. He's not smoking no trash either.
Who gives a hell? You know what I'm saying? As long as you got them kids ready and you can go get them, you know what it is, Coach. But I just want our fans to know you don't have to be a bad guy if something happens. NCAA rules are just policies. They not jail time or career ending, which they do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just they policies. If you break a policy, don't mean that you're a bad guy.
Now, Coach, the Jackson State coaches were also there, correct?
Right. Yeah, I can tell you the original part of the original setup for the show was to be Coach Thomas to be there, Coach TC to be there. So what I wanted to do was, I don't know if y'all remember this, but there used to be a time where they would do kickoff shows. Well, Coach Cole, I mean,
Swag
I know you
tour.
know that.
Swag
Yeah,
tour.
yeah. So, I'm thinking, man, that'll be a great deal, man, just to sit down and talk about football with these two guys. Coach O shows up. He's a good friend of mine as well. Let's just talk football. And at the time, Coach Buckley hadn't been. It wasn't Coach Buckley. It was the
young coach.
young coach at
Yeah.
Valley, and we reached out to him. He had something going on, so he couldn't drive in, but he was going to come. So that was going to be the original deal. And then if you go back and look at it, we didn't talk scheme. We talked about your journey. Coach TC, man, how you get here. Coach O, how you get here. And just talked, their history. That was all we did. I didn't have on anything all corn. I had on, I think, maybe my common man shirt or something like that. And it wasn't like we were just tore down drunk. We weren't, so it was just a show. So that was taken the wrong way, out of context. So I just kind of left it alone. I was upset about it because, again, once you leave the office, man, your time is your time, right?
Well, let me say this about being drunk. The head coach of the most expensive college program, and Steve Sarkisian, was so drunk when he was coaching USC, he damn near fell off the stage.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
He's making $10 million today. You know what his punishment was? The offensive coordinator position with Alabama. And then now he's the head coach of Texas. And you get caught for cigars. And I don't know what you're making, Coach, but you ain't making $10 million.
Coach, and I was just gonna say this, Coach. That was almost 2 seasons ago, Coach.
Yeah, that was part of what, I was told. So, I can only go by what I'm told. And it couldn't have been, to me, when you talk about performance-based in this business, the resume speaks for itself. Last year, Truck Griffin was an All-American and an All-Conference tight end. The year before that, Monterio Hunt, Malik, all those guys, I had 3 receivers in the top 10 in the conference. Monterio was top 5 in FCS. So when we talk about that, it's not about the coaching part of it. I just want to be, just tell me. It's a business. I get it. But just tell me what it is.
What's your background, Coach? Where'd you go to school at?
So I went to Arkansas Tech, and I was part of the transfer portal before it was a transfer portal. Tried to transfer to get closer to that girl that went to FAMU. So I tried to transfer to Florida State, not knowing the full rules, not having people to, give you, hey, man, when you transfer, you lose hours, all that, especially when you're going from D2 to Division I, and wound up transferring myself to being ineligible. But I'm still close. I'm still close to that little girl over that fam. You know what I mean? So, I guess it worked out. And then, later on got an opportunity to go play over in the CFL and the Arena League. And, football has been something that's been a part of me for a while. Like all of us, it was the reason that I was able to leave out of that, what we call that 275 circle, where it loops around Tampa. You got to find a way to get out of there. You'll be sitting in there on Friday nights talking about how good you were 20 years ago. So football is that, and it got me an opportunity to be out of there all the way to Russellville, Arkansas. So that's the start of it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just seeing if you had some HBCU background or.
Now, my family, it's crazy. My family, mom's side is BCU. My dad's side, all my aunties and uncles, they went to FAM. They all teachers. Well, they're retired now. So as you were talking about the Florida Classic earlier there, Mr. Campbell, I remember going as a young kid and how serious it was back then. when it was in Tampa before it moved to Orlando. You know, the old sombrero there at Tampa Stadium. So I've been around it, didn't know about it. My high school coach, Colin Smith, was a Bethune-Cookman great. But, you know, back then, it was the stigmatism of going there. So really wasn't on the radar, but I was around it all my life.
Now, Coach, you the recruiting coordinator. Were your Pacific area, the Florida area?
Yes, I wasn't a recruiting coordinator. That was Coach Ryan, but
Okay.
I handled the Kansas JCs, and
Okay.
I had Central Florida and dipped down into South Florida.
I used to work in Fort Scott.
Yeah. That was my first college coaching job, Fort Scott Community College, and
Yeah.
I followed you again in this business to Stillman College. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Fort Scott. You know how they
Yeah.
got me to Fort Scott?
What's that?
Coach Verdugo, Kevin Verdugo, told me it was a Army town, and I was like, okay, being from Tampa, I'm thinking big deal. Oh, this gonna be great. He didn't tell me the Army left in like 1871. So when I get there, I'm like, where the base? It was like, oh no, man, Kevin told you that. Oh man, this is a historic town. This ain't no real Army town. I'm
Hey,
like, you gotta be kidding me.
hey, it's a one light town, man.
One.
Did you stay in the dormitories too?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first year, man. That's how he got me in there. I was the dorm coach, man.
But this is what I'm talking about, Fred. You could appreciate it, and you know, guys on the show and listen to the show about what HBCU guys or African American guys have to go with. We got to take the butt jobs. We got to grind and everything else, man. And you guys are seeing now how I feel about celebrity coaches, on what we got to go through to get to where we're going. And it's just a better fit to me. But hey, that's just how I see it. And I just hope that you know, Coach, you can jump back on your feet, man. I know you will. Seems like you're well connected. You've done a great job of coaching tight ends, man. And you know, they don't play with them no more a lot, Coach.
And these past 2 seasons were my first 2 seasons coaching tight ends.
Okay.
Prior to, I had always been receiver coach or corners.
Okay.
So in 2018, Coach Mack asked me to move over. So moved over, coached corners. Of course, we won back-to-back SWAC championships in 18 and 19. We had the #1 defense, #1 takeaways, interceptions. In 18 to 19, we led tackles and, you know, led the nation in tackles for loss. So, you know, I had a great time coaching that side of the ball, and then moved back to the offensive side of the ball in 2021 because we didn't play in 22.
So you've been there 10 years?
I tell everybody, so I got there, my first year was 2014.
Okay. You was
at
part
the
of
end of-
2 championships.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
Let me ask you this.
Let me one other thing. Now, didn't y'all have some NC violations on those 2 championships?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Let me ask you this here, Coach Fred, because this is something I've always wanted to ask some of the Alcorn coaches, administrators, whatever. Before 2020, you guys were a dominant program. You guys were the SWAC boogeyman, right? You guys don't play in 2020, come back in 2021, and you're not quite the same program you were before 2020. Did that break affect the program at all, in your opinion?
In my opinion, we still haven't gotten right. You know, that time was a weird time. If you go back and you remember, there was a period of time when we didn't have a trainer. There was a period of time when we didn't have a strength coach. And then you go into that spring season, and we had just got a trainer hired. We had just got a strength and conditioning coach hired, and we didn't play. And I've always said it. Other guys that was on that staff always said it. we just never got back on track after that. And then the switch came, which wasn't a big deal because we were still playing the West best teams. We played Southern every year. We played Grambling every year. But that's when we made the change when Cookman and Fam came in. And I just say we never got back right at that point as a program because, like you said, before then we were rolling. 6 straight East championships. So, you win the East, you go to the championship game. So you're talking about 6 straight years of championship football. And then you take a year when the world's upside down, and then on top of that, you don't have football, and you're not able to do anything. And I just feel like that we just never got back on track after that. It was just tough. Couple years of finishing second, couldn't quite get back over the hump, and it's just kind of been that way ever since. But we were moving, we were building. But yeah, I would definitely say we just never got back right after not playing in that spring season.
Coach, let me ask you a question. You're out there now, you're a free agent. What type of opportunity are you looking for? It's very obvious you could coach multiple positions. You're clearly a great recruiter. But if you could say, hey, Coaches Corner world, this is where I'm best at, and this is where I fit best at, what would you tell people? Because like I said, we got a lot of coaches watching. Again, this is news that's breaking. Again, a lot of people season over, they're going to be transitioning coaches and things like that. So kind of tell us that, and then I'm going to transition to some people that you have watched and kind of get your ideas of what you think is going to happen in a couple of weeks.
So, I'm primarily an offensive guy, played receiver, and I think that's where it's at. That's my niche. I've always had, I think, high marks with those guys wherever I've been, whether it's been the JUCO route, Division II Stillman, or even at Alcorn. I think I get those guys to play at a high level. I'm not one of these internet guys. What I'm giving my guys are football Saturday techniques. We're going to be fundamentally sound and we're going to be tough. And that's how I coach the receivers. A lot of times we as receivers get labeled as divas and not willing to do the dirty work.
Tenderonis.
Yeah. But nah, we ain't doing that. Anybody that's played for me as a receiver will tell you if you don't block, you don't play. If you in a game and we call something and you don't block, you might as well come on jog because the next guy's coming to get you. Because you got to be able to do everything. You want to be complete. And, I think that part of it is where my niche is. But I can coach corners. I played that. Playing in an arena league, you had to play both ways. Coming up, I knew I was a smaller receiver. And at the time, remember, there was only 2 teams in the NFL that was run and shoot. Buffalo and I think Minnesota at the time. So little receivers weren't being given that opportunity. So, kind of taught myself how to play DB, so to speak. But receiver coach is what I call myself.
Yeah,
Coach.
You don't face Alcorn. You don't face Jackson State, and you don't face Prairie View. And we got an off-line thing between some Jackson State people that they just think that they just gonna run over Prairie View. And Coach, I'm a coach. My heart ain't in this. I had the opportunity to give Tremaine Jackson his first coaching job, and so he's one of my favorite. He's God seen develop. I knew he was going to be a great guy or a great coach, but they ranked number 3 in the nation in defense. Their offense is peaking at the right time. Jackson State is Jackson State. Great athletes, great program with TC Taylor. Kind of give your thoughts on that game, and of course, we're gonna ask you before you go off what you think's gonna happen.
The matchup is intriguing because what Prairie View does well, Jackson can take it away, which is run the ball. And if, Jackson can get that back, they've been kind of slipping the last couple of weeks and allowing people to kind of run the ball on them. If they can take that away and turn Prairie View into, one dimension, having to throw the ball, I think that would be the way to go. But also, if Jackson jumps out to a quick lead, that could be trouble for Prairie View. And Jackson got some guys that can be one hitters. They don't need a lot of space to take it 80. And if they fall behind 14, that's going to take away that run game, and they're going to be forced to pass, and that could put them in a little trouble.
Okay. What about Prairie View and what Prairie View's got to take away from Jackson State?
They've got to make them drive the football. You can't give up that opening run against us for 65 yards to put them in the red zone. You can't do that. You got to make them drive the football, keep it in front, and make them be patient and take the run away as best you can, but you can't let them have those one drive plays where you look up and now they're inside the 5-yard line. You got to make them drive the football.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Coach, your team, Alcorn, played both of those teams.
Very well.
Very, very well. So you know what it's like to be in the vet. So, and you guys just play in the vet. So what would you tell a Prairie View team who has been in the championship team, played in the vet once before a couple of years ago, but you guys and it's going to be a big crowd and things like that. What would you tell the coaches that have not coached, and because I don't think Tremaine Jackson's coached in the vet, but it doesn't matter. Let's just say because they haven't played this year. What would you tell Prairie View? And then with that being said, you playing Prairie View and them coming in, what would you tell Jackson State?
I would tell Prairie View coaches, you got to make sure your guys can handle that first 8 minutes because it's going to be rocking. When the band comes in there and the song they play right before kickoff and those pom-poms, you got to make sure your guys don't get wrapped up into that and, overplay something. And now you look up and you're 14 down and it's still 7 minutes left to go in the first quarter. You got to make sure your guys are mentally ready to handle the excitement. Because like you said, it's a championship game and it's going to be a big crowd. So I'm telling the Prairie View coaches, hey, preach the first 8 minutes. Got to stay under control the first 8 minutes. And if I'm Jackson, hey, let's take it to them from the jump. Let's get on these guys early and often and see if they can handle it. So, to me, I think those are the two different aspects that, is going to make the difference in the game. Because if Prairie View can't handle that first 5 to 8 minutes, it could be trouble.
Well, Jack, we played Jackson State down in Jackson. So he knows what to expect when that Sonny Boom come out. And I guarantee you he'll have his players ready to go. Of course we beat Jackson in Jackson. When they had an interior that the white quarterback.
White tight.
We beat Jackson down in there. But I just feel it ain't gonna be a runaway for neither team. I think so. I think you hit some points, Coach, that not being able to give up the big play. And make them drive. And that's some of the things that we've been preaching about Jackson State of making them one-dimensional. Or, I think it's how TC Taylor is going to manage the offense towards the defense. They got a great defense. Prairie View has a great defense. And some of the things you brought up was real intriguing, about the big plays and that kind of thing. That's important.
Yeah, and I'm looking in the comments. When I say run the ball, Cookman didn't really want to run the ball, but when they had to, they were able to get some movement up front. I think Alabama State ran the ball at a decent clip versus them, and then I think we had a decent clip running the ball against them as well. So when I say run the ball, I'm saying in those timely manners when you have to get a run off and get yourself ahead of the chains, Cookman did that, effectively.
Yeah.
Coach.
This one of the things that I looked into, Prairie View is ranked number 1 in the nation on third downs. What playing both teams when it comes to the discipline of the team and the management of the team. What did you thought about both teams?
At the time that we played Prairie View, I think we were kind of having some issues within what we wanted to do, so to speak. And they got after us on third downs. And, when you get behind the chains and people are able to pin their ears back, you're going to be in trouble. And, fortunately, Saturday, again, we didn't handle the first 8 minutes well, but we were able to battle back and kind of get back within the, within the game, had some big plays, some big runs. So, third downs, you want to stay out of that with Prairie View because they can rush the passer. And then you don't want to give Jackson's front four an opportunity to get moving. And if Jackson can get movement without having to bring the linebackers and play those games, that makes them very tough.
Coach, one thing that I was very impressed with Alcorn this past weekend, if you had told me that y'all was going to keep them under 250 yards, considering the size of your guys up front, I would have bet anybody that Jackson was going to get 250 yards and probably going to average 5 yards a carry. You guys were able to, in my opinion, do the best job, even better than maybe the D1 team they played. Like, you guys did a great job not necessarily total yards, because they did run for 170, but Coach, they ran the ball almost 50 times to get that 170. So you guys did a great job. Did you guys see something, or did you guys play above y'all head? What was going on with that?
Again, it was a rivalry game, no doubt. But Coach Thomas, Coach Rowe, those guys over there really put together a good plan of trying to make sure that we weren't stagnant up front and let those big guys move us. We were trying to put them in the blender, trying to move, have movement up front to keep them from being able to tee off and get those, inside zones, those duos, against the smaller guys. We wanted to try to protect them. So, the game plan was, what it was, and our kids just played. Once we settled down, we were able to kind of get some stuff going up front to where we didn't allow them to get those double teams as much.
Yeah. When you look at the both teams, and now I just want you to speak size-wise, are they even? Are they a little different? Or if you let me just, and you just answer, who you think have the best defensive line?
Jackson's got that zero up there, man. And when he goes, he goes. And it ain't too many in the league like him.
Okay.
And Prairie View's got that defensive end, I want to say 8, if I'm not mistaken, longer kid. And, he kind of can bend that edge on you rather quickly. Yeah. But size-wise, I think, between the two teams, I think Jackson's the bigger team in the trenches.
Okay. All right, linebacker play.
PV.
Okay. Secondary.
Man, we played PV so early, I don't think we really tested them like that. But from what, I've watched them, they've really improved on the back end. So I would give them the edge overall there. But I know, Quinn's not going to sit back there and just be stagnant. He's going to do some different things.
Did you say Quinn?
Coach Quinn, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What about, let's go on the offensive side of the ball, both offensive line.
Them guys in Jackson big up there, man. I didn't realize they were that big. Okay. That offensive line is massive, man. Them guys are big.
Yeah. What about wideouts? Now, that's your specialty.
Man, that number 3, he can hit it from wherever.
Is that for Jackson State?
Yeah, he can hit it from wherever.
You talking about Rembrandt.
Yeah, he can hit it from wherever.
That coach, he the real deal.
Yeah, he can hit it from wherever.
He probably one of the most exceptional. If you would name and given the players ranks on that game, he would be in the top 3.
Yeah, he's special with that ball, and like I said, he can get somewhere fast. if Fairview can get their tight end in the game, I think that's going to be very big for them because he's a different matchup for people as well.
Okay.
Is that Ojo? I think his name.
Yeah. He's a different matchup.
What about a quarterback?
You hear different things, and I guess Jackson's original starter is going to be back. I like the young kid. I think the young kid handled himself well last week. Fairview runs those two guys in and out of there at times. If Jackson's quarterback is healthy, he's a senior. I got to give him the nod on that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to ask you about the coaches because you're looking for a job now.
With Coach Fred, I do want to ask you this because you talked about being on a squad that had went back-to-back championships, played in the Celebration Bowl. How is it important for that? Because you're talking about a roster with Prairie View that flipped the whole roster, basically. 70 new players, new coaches, new culture. But then you got Jack State. Those guys are steady. You got championship players that have been there. You've got guys that have now matriculated through the program. How important is that with that experience playing in a game like this? And you guys especially knowing that and it being at home like that.
I'll start with the Prairie View side of it. That was a risk in itself. When you bring in a bunch of new guys, how are they going to gel? How's it going to work? And, it all came together for them. I've been in a situation where you bring in all those guys, man, and it don't work. By the middle of the season, you trying to get up out the season. You know what I mean? So that worked for them. And, the experience part of it, Jackson, I think, will definitely have the advantage. They know what to expect. They know how that week leading up to it is going to be. I think the experience really plays big for you in that situation.
Guys, one thing I was just thinking while I was sitting up here, maybe next week we can get some coaches on and Fred, would you come back next week if you had time? Maybe on Thursday or Friday, man. Actually talk about the game, I mean, they do it on the other side. Why we can't, as coaches, get together and talk about our championship game?
Man, good luck with that, man. I be trying to get them coaches on, man. Everybody get paranoid on me, and they got to go ask this person to see if they can get on.
Ain't that crazy, coach? And they making $50,000. We got to act like that. We making $50,000.
If y'all can do it, man, that'd be huge. If y'all
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Well, see, Coach, let me tell you something. See, it's two things. See, first of all, let me tell you what happens with you. You were actually coaching with these guys against them. You see what I'm saying? Coach Cole is the gave folks jobs. You know what I'm saying? So there's a big difference. We done gave a person a job in the start. You see what I'm saying? We've had more people that have told a story that they got to start with Coach Cole. So no offense to you, but man, you was the enemy. You know what I'm saying, man? It's kind of hard to sit down and break bread with you, bro. You know what I mean? I might slip on you. I was thinking, I say the wrong thing.
I try to make them feel comfortable, Mr. Campbell. Like, man, we ain't gonna talk scheme. We ain't gonna talk players. We talking about you, man. Like, I want to give you some exposure. I just want to have a regular conversation.
Man, I love this guy. I love this coach. See, I coached back there. I started back there with Eddie Robinson. They were on I seen them coach. I finished in 85, so they were done in 90. So I was able to, they last 10, 12 years. Man, they had great relationships off the field. Them guys, Marino and Eddie and WC, and they had great relationships off the field, man. And so, man, it was just good to know and to see those guys, how they conversate and lied. And, of course, like you said, they didn't talk scheme, but they would be lying and but they had a good relationship. But for that 60 minutes, though, they got after it.
Hey, Fred, did you coach with Jay Hobson?
Yes.
Now, I know you were about to say something, but can you tell me about that staff and all the guys came off that staff that ultimately end up being coordinators and head coaches?
Man, so Willie Simmons at the time was the OC. Coach McNair was the quarterback coach. Coach Simmons coached the running backs. I had the receivers. Then you had over on the other side, you had Coach Thomas, of course. You had Coach Peck, who's the DC now at McNeese, but was the DC at FAU. You had Coach Street, Ralph Street, who's at Marshall. I'm missing somebody else. Coach Stanchek, who's the offensive line coach, is now the offensive line coach down in UTEP. I think I'm missing one more. And Coach Thomas was the DB coach. Yeah, man, that staff was incredible, man. All those guys, when I got there, I think me and Coach Thomas was the only two that had JC backgrounds. Everybody else had, Division I background, whether it was, GA or actually coached at that level.
Did you know all those guys, well, all of y'all together made an exceptional staff, and that individually y'all would have your successes as well at the time Coach Hobson brought you guys together?
Nah, because when you're there, and Alcorn has changed tremendously from 2014, but when you're there, you're just kind of like, okay, they had been close before I got there. The year before, I think they lost by 2 points to Alabama A&M, who eventually went on to win it, I think, is how that went, and in 2014. But you knew all those guys were going to, be good enough to be able to get out and get another job if they wanted to. It was just a matter of when. And, I don't know if Coach Hop knew what he had put together or not when he put it together. But it was just, it was a special time, man, just to sit in there and listen to some of those stories. Sit in there and listen to Coach Simmons get on the board. And, I mean, we would literally scheme. Within our offense, it would be another offense every week we played somebody. It wasn't going to be what they saw on tape. It may look like what they saw on tape, but it was going to be something else. It was going to be a different twist to it. And just to be there in that and see it was just, amazing now sitting.
He froze up.
Yeah, it looked like he froze on us.
Yeah. Well, man, that was good, man. He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, very, very, very knowledgeable, man. Yeah. And I think let me see if we get you back.
Unfortunately, we just in that business, Coach.
Yeah, man. That's unfortunate, Coach, in that, and the fact that he is in the media space as an active head coach. It's unique, for sure. But I think it's something that the everybody needs. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's something that benefits the SWAC by having an active coach being in the media space, because he can clear a lot. One thing I from talking to you, Coach Cole, there's a lot of misconceptions about coaching. There's a lot of misinformation about coaching. And what I like to listen to you and Coach Fred and other guys who's had the whistle around their neck, is that you guys can say, hold up, that's not exactly.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.